I was sitting at my desk eating a turkey sandwich when my phone buzzed with a text from my sister Amanda. The message made my hands go cold. Mom and Dad agree. If you're not willing to babysit Sophie, Marcus, and Lily for 3 days over Christmas, don't bother coming. We need a break. And you never help with the kids. It's the least you can do since you don't have children of your own. Either commit to full-time childcare December 23rd through 26th, or stay home. Your choice. I stared at those words until they blurred. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be how my family actually saw me. I set my phone down and tried to breathe. My coworker Sarah glanced over from the next cubicle, concerned. But I waved her off. I needed to think clearly about what was happening here. Amanda was my younger sister by 4 years. She had always been the one our parents fussed over. The baby of the family who needed extra attention, extra help, extra everything. When she married Jason 7 years ago, I was genuinely happy for her. When they had Sophie, then Marcus, then Lily, I loved being an aunt. I bought gifts for every birthday, every holiday. I showed up to every school play and soccer game I could manage around my work schedule as a financial analyst. But over the past 2 years, something had shifted. It started small. Amanda called one spring morning, voice tight with stress, explaining that their kitchen had flooded and they needed $10,000 for renovations. Insurance wasn't covering everything. Could I help? I said yes immediately. Family helps family, right? She promised she'd pay me back when things settled down. 6 months later, Jason lost his job. Amanda called again. They were behind on car payments, insurance was due, things were tight. Could I loan them $5,000 to get through? Again, I said yes. Jason found new work within 2 months. But the repayment conversation never happened. I didn't push it. They had 3 kids to feed. Then came the private school tuition crisis. Amanda wanted the kids in a better school district, but they'd fallen behind on payments. $3,000. Then another emergency. Medical bills and credit card debt piled up. $2,000 more. Each time, Amanda promised this was the last time, that they'd get back on their feet soon, that she'd pay me back or at least pay it forward someday. I never said no. Looking back now, sitting in my office with that text message burning on my screen, I realized I'd given my sister $20,000 over 2 years. $20,000 I'd saved by living in a modest apartment, driving a 10-year-old Honda, skipping vacations, packing my lunch every single day. $20,000 I'd planned to use as a down payment on my first house. And now she was demanding I provide 72 hours of free childcare as the price of admission to family Christmas? Or don't come at all? I picked up my phone and called my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring, her tone already cool. Chelsea. Amanda said you'd probably call. Mom, what is going on? I got this text from Amanda saying I can't come to Christmas unless I agree to babysit for 3 straight days. Amanda is exhausted, Chelsea. My mother's voice was clipped. Matter of fact. Those children are a handful. She works so hard. And she never gets a break. You're single and you have all that free time. What else are you doing for Christmas? The dismissiveness in her voice stunned me. I have plans, Mom. I took time off work. I already bought gifts for the kids. I've been looking forward to this for months. Those children are your family. She interrupted. Blood comes first. Amanda needs help and, frankly, you're being selfish. Selfish. I couldn't keep the hurt out of my voice. Mom, I've given Amanda $20,000 over the past 2 years. $20,000. I've helped every single time she's asked. There was a pause. Then my mother said something that made my stomach drop. That was your choice, Chelsea. Nobody forced you to give her anything. And honestly, you make so much more money than they do. You should be grateful you can help. Grateful. I should be grateful for the opportunity to fund my sister's life while being treated like hired help. Mom, I'm happy to come visit for Christmas. I'm happy to spend time with the kids, but I'm not providing 3 full days of childcare. That's not a visit. That's a job. Then maybe you shouldn't come. Her words were ice cold. If you can't help your sister when she needs you, what kind of family member are you? She hung up before I could respond. I sat there in shock, staring at my phone. Then it buzzed again. Amanda had added me to a group chat with our parents and Jason. My father Robert was there too. My stomach knotted. Amanda's message filled the screen. I just want everyone to understand how hard this is for me. I sacrifice everything for my children. I haven't had a break in months. All I asked was for my sister to help me for a few days. And she acts like I'm asking her to climb Mount Everest. I guess some people just don't understand what it means to be a mother. I'm exhausted, I'm drowning, and my own sister won't even give me 3 days. Jason chimed in immediately. Amanda gives everything to this family. Chelsea doesn't understand what it takes to raise kids. She doesn't understand family responsibilities at all. Then my father's message appeared. Chelsea, your mother and I didn't raise you to abandon family when they need you most. We're very disappointed in you right now. My hands were shaking as I typed my response. I'm not abandoning anyone. I love Amanda and the kids, but expecting me to provide 72 hours of solo childcare isn't visiting, it's working. I'm happy to come spend time with everyone, but not as free labor. Amanda's response came within seconds. So, our kids aren't good enough for you? You're too important to spend time with your nieces and nephew? I see how it is. I was about to respond when a private message popped up from Amanda. My blood ran cold as I read it. By the way, Mom and Dad are staying at our house for Christmas. We don't have space for you, so you'll need to get a hotel anyway. Might as well make yourself useful while you're in town paying for accommodations. Otherwise, honestly, don't waste your time or money coming. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't about babysitting. This wasn't even about Christmas. They had planned this. They were staying at Amanda's house, leaving no room for me, expecting me to pay for a hotel, and then work as their unpaid nanny for 3 days. And if I refused, I was the bad guy who abandoned family. I had been set up to fail from the start. I couldn't focus on work for the rest of the day. I left early, claiming a headache, which wasn't entirely untrue. My head was pounding with confusion and hurt. When I got home to my apartment, I made tea and sat on my couch, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I opened Facebook and started scrolling through Amanda's profile. I needed to understand something. If they were so desperate for money, so strapped that they needed my constant financial help, where was all that desperation? What I found made me feel sick. 6 weeks ago, Amanda had posted photos of their living room with brand new furniture. The caption read, "Finally got the sectional of my dreams. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself." I clicked on the tagged store. That sectional cost $5,000. $5,000. Posted just weeks after I'd given her $3,000 for school tuition. I kept scrolling, my heart sinking further with each post. Last summer, there were dozens of photos from Disney World. Not just Disney World, but the deluxe resort, the character dining experiences, the premium, everything. The trip had to have cost at least $6,000. That was the same month they'd asked me for money because Jason was between jobs. 3 months ago, Jason had posted a photo of himself on a brand new motorcycle. A beautiful, shiny machine that I knew cost at least $8,000. The caption, "Finally got my dream bike. Life is good." This was posted 2 months after they'd asked me for $2,000 for medical bills and credit card debt. I kept going back further. Designer handbags. Expensive dinners at upscale steakhouses and trendy restaurants. Amanda's posts about wine-tasting weekends and spa days. New clothes, new gadgets, new everything. The emergencies I'd funded weren't emergencies at all. My money had been subsidizing their lifestyle, freeing up their own income to spend on luxuries. While I ate packed lunches and drove my old car and lived in my modest apartment, they were living like they had money to burn. Because they did have money to burn. Mine. I was crying when my boyfriend Ethan knocked on my door. I'd texted him earlier that I needed to talk, and had come over as soon as he could leave work. He took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. What happened? I explained everything. The text from Amanda, the phone call with my mother, the group chat ambush, the discovery of how they'd been spending money while claiming poverty. Ethan listened, his face growing darker with each detail. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "Chelsea, I need to tell you something. I should have told you months ago, but I didn't want to hurt you. He took a deep breath. Remember the family barbecue last July at Amanda's house? I nodded. It had been a big gathering, lots of extended family. I went inside to use the bathroom, and I walked past the kitchen. Amanda and Jason were in there, and they didn't see me. They were laughing about something. Ethan's jaw tightened. Jason said, "Why would I pick up extra shifts when Chelsea just hands us money?" And Amanda laughed and said, "She's desperate to feel needed. It's actually kind of sad." The room tilted. I sat down heavily on the couch. They said that. I didn't want to tell you because I thought maybe I'd misheard, or taken it out of context. But after what you just told me. Ethan sat beside me, taking my hand. "Chelsea, they've been using you, and they've been mocking you for it." I felt like I'd been punched. Not only had they exploited my generosity, they'd laughed about it. I was a joke to them. The desperate, lonely sister so pathetic that she'd pay anything to feel like part of the family. I needed to talk to my mother again. Surely if I explained what I'd discovered, she'd understand. She'd see how Amanda had been manipulating everyone. I called her. She answered with a sigh. "Chelsea, I really don't want to argue with you again." "Mom, I'm not calling to argue. I need you to listen to me." I tried to keep my voice steady. "I've been looking at Amanda's social media. The times she's asked me for money because of emergencies, she's been posting about expensive purchases, luxury vacations, thousands of dollars in stuff. The money I gave her wasn't for emergencies. It was subsidizing a lifestyle she couldn't actually afford." Silence on the other end. "Mom? Did you hear me? So, what if they bought some nice things?" My mother's voice was defensive. "They deserve happiness too, Chelsea. They work hard. They have 3 children. You're always so concerned about money. That's probably why you're alone." The comment about being alone hit me like a slap. Ethan and I had been together for 3 years. 3 years. And my parents barely acknowledged him. They'd met him twice, both times at family functions where they'd spent maybe 10 minutes talking to him before focusing all their attention on Amanda's family. "I'm not alone, Mom. I have Ethan. You know what I mean?" Her tone was dismissive. "You don't have children. You don't have real responsibilities. You have time and money to spare. What they do with money is their business. You gave it freely. Stop trying to control them. Did you know?" The question came out before I could stop it. "Did you know they were spending my money on luxuries while crying poor to my face?" Another pause. "Too long. What they do with money is their business, Chelsea. You can't give someone a gift and then dictate how they use it." She'd known. My mother had known all along that Amanda was playing me, and she didn't care. "I have to go, Mom." I hung up before she could respond. I was shaking so hard that Ethan wrapped a blanket around me and made me sit down. Then my phone chimed with an email notification. A credit card alert. My heart dropped into my stomach as I opened it. Someone had charged $2,300 to my credit card. My credit card, that I'd given Amanda information for one time last year. Shed called in a panic, saying she was at the grocery store with 3 hungry kids, and her card had been declined. Could she use mine just this once? I'd given her the number to help in that moment of crisis. Apparently, Shed kept the information. I opened the detailed charges. A Christmas tree store, $800 in decorations, $400 in toys from an expensive boutique, a television, new bedding, a gaming system, hundreds of dollars in clothes. My sister had racked up over $2,000 in charges on my credit card without asking. Shed simply helped herself. I called her immediately, fury overriding hurt. She answered on the first ring, her voice bright. "Chelsea! Did you change your mind about Christmas?" "Amanda, you charged over $2,000 to my credit card. Without asking me." "Oh, that." She sounded completely unconcerned. "I figured you'd cover it since you're not coming to Christmas anyway. Consider it your gift to the kids. They deserve a nice Christmas. You stole from me. I didn't steal anything. You gave me that card number. And honestly, Chelsea, after everything I do for this family, the least you can do is help with Christmas. I didn't think you'd be so petty about it." Petty. I was beyond words. "Look, I have to go. The kids need dinner. Just let the charges go through. You can afford it. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, and something inside me broke. Not broke in a sad way. Broke in a way that cleared everything into sharp focus. It'd been enabling this. It'd been so desperate for my family's approval, so desperate to be valued, that it'd let myself become their personal bank account. And they didn't even respect me for it. They mocked me. I wasn't going to do this anymore. I opened my laptop and created a document. At the top, I typed, "Financial history with Amanda, 2 years." Then I started listing everything. Every Venmo transfer, every check, every credit card transaction, every cash gift. I pulled up bank statements and PayPal records. I screenshotted text messages where Amanda had asked for money and promised to pay me back. When I was done, the list was staggering. $20,400 over the course of 23 months. Some months, nothing. Other months, multiple requests. The largest single amount was the $10,000 for the kitchen renovation. The smallest was $300 for emergency groceries. Then I created a second document. This one was screenshots from Amanda's Facebook and Instagram over the same time period. The furniture purchase dated 3 weeks after Shed claimed poverty. The Disney vacation during Jason's unemployment crisis. The motorcycle. The designer bags. The restaurant check-ins at places where entrees cost $40. The spa days. The wine tastings. I laid them out side by side, matching dates. Every time Shed taken my money, I could find evidence of her spending lavishly on luxuries within days or weeks. My friend Rachel texted asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I invited her over instead and showed her everything when she arrived with a bottle of wine. Rachel was a therapist, and as she reviewed the documents, her expression grew more serious. "Chelsea, can I speak to you professionally for a moment?" Of course, what I'm seeing here is a pattern of financial exploitation. But it's more than that. Looking at your family dynamics as you've described them over the years we've been friends, she paused, choosing her words carefully. You've been parentified. Your parents put adult responsibilities on you from a young age because you were the responsible one, while Amanda got to remain the baby who needed care. And now, as adults, that pattern continues. You're still expected to be the caretaker, the provider, the one who sacrifices. Amanda gets to be taken care of. The words hit somewhere deep and true. So what do? You set boundaries. Firm ones. And you accept that they're going to react badly because boundaries disrupt the system they've built. But Chelsea, you deserve to be valued for who you are, not for what you provide. After Rachel left, I sat with Ethan and talked through everything. Had been patient all evening, listening, supporting. Now he said something that surprised me. "Let's go away for Christmas. Somewhere you've always wanted to go. Somewhere special." "Ethan, I can't just..." "Why not?" He pulled out his phone. "You've spent years putting your life on hold to fund Amanda's life. You've been planning to spend Christmas being used and unappreciated. Instead, let's go somewhere amazing, just us, somewhere you'd actually enjoy." The idea felt rebellious and terrifying and absolutely right. We looked at options together. Beach resorts, European cities, mountain getaways. We settled on a luxury cabin in Colorado. 5 days in the mountains, skiing, hot tub, fireplace, complete peace. The cost was $3,000 for both of us, less than I would have spent on Christmas at Amanda's between the hotel, gifts, and whatever additional money they would have asked for once I was there. We booked it immediately. Then I turned to the group message. I'd been drafting and redrafting it in my head all evening. Now I typed it out carefully, making sure every word was clear and factual. I need to address something directly. Over the past 2 years, I've given Amanda $20,400. This includes $10,000 for kitchen renovations, $5,000 for car expenses during Jason's job transition, $3,000 for school tuition, and $2,000 for medical bills and credit card debt. I gave this money because I love my family and wanted to help during what I was told were emergencies. I attached screenshots of the Venmo transfers and bank records, each dated and labeled. However, I've recently discovered that during the same time periods I was funding these emergencies, Amanda and Jason were making significant luxury purchases, including a $5,000 sectional sofa, a $6,000 Disney vacation, an $8,000 motorcycle, and numerous other expensive non-essential items. The money I provided wasn't used for emergencies. It subsidized a lifestyle they couldn't afford while allowing them to spend their own money on luxuries. I attached the Facebook screenshots, matched by date to my financial contributions. Additionally, today I discovered that Amanda charged $2,300 to my credit card without my permission or knowledge. When I confronted her about this, she stated she assumed I would cover it since I'm not coming to Christmas anyway. I took a breath and typed the final paragraph. I will not be providing childcare for Christmas. I will not be attending Christmas. I will not be providing any further financial support. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. I'll be spending mine with people who value me as a person, not as a bank account. My finger hovered over the send button. Ethan squeezed my shoulder. You're doing the right thing. I hit send. For about 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then my phone started buzzing like it was possessed. But before I could look at any of the incoming messages, Amanda called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. What the hell do you think you're doing? She was screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. How dare you put our private business in a group chat? How dare you embarrass me like this? Do you know what you've done? The credit card company is saying those charges are fraudulent. They're saying I stole from you. You're making me look like a criminal. You did steal from me, Amanda. You used my credit card without permission. That's literally theft. I thought you'd be okay with it. I thought we were family. Oh my God, Chelsea, you're ruining Christmas for my children. Do you understand that? Sophie, Marcus, and Lily are going to have a terrible Christmas because of you. Something in me snapped. Maybe it was Rachel's words about boundaries. Maybe it was seeing my pain and confusion transform into clarity. Maybe it was just being done. No, Amanda. They're going to have whatever Christmas you and Jason provide for them. That's your job as their parents, not mine. But the money I spent on your card was for their presents. You spent $2,000 on luxury decorations and a gaming system for yourself. Don't pretend this was about the kids. You don't understand what it's like to be a mother. You don't understand sacrifice. I understand that I've sacrificed $20,000 subsidizing your lifestyle. I understand that you and Jason laughed at me, called me desperate and sad. I understand that you've been using me, and I'm done being used. Wait until Mom and Dad hear about this. They already know everything, Amanda. They're in the group chat. They've known all along what you were doing, and they didn't care. And now I don't either. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Then I sent the group message and watched the chaos unfold. The messages came in so fast my phone couldn't keep up. I watched the notifications pile up. Missed calls from my mother, from my father, from Amanda, from Jason. Text after text in the group chat before I muted it. Finally, I unmuted it just to see the damage. My mother had sent 6 messages, each one progressively angrier. Call me back immediately. Chelsea Marie. This is unacceptable. How dare you disrespect your sister publicly? If you don't apologize right now, you're tearing this family apart. This is not how we raised you. My father's messages were more measured but somehow worse. Chelsea, I'm very disappointed. Airing family business like this is beneath you. Your sister is crying. Your mother is upset. I expected better from you. Jason had sent several messages threatening legal action for defamation, though he had no case and we both knew it. Amanda had sent a flurry of texts alternating between rage and guilt. I can't believe you'd betray family like this. Everyone is going to see what kind of person you really are. I'm going to tell everyone what you did. You're making my children cry. I hope you're happy ruining Christmas. I blocked all of them temporarily. I needed peace to think, to breathe, to process. Ethan made dinner while I sat on the couch, feeling numb and overwhelmed and somehow lighter all at once. Then my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Chelsea? It's Aunt Diane, my mother's sister. I braced myself for another lecture. Honey, I just want to say, I'm proud of you. I blinked. What? I saw the message in the group chat before Amanda deleted it. Good for you, Chelsea. It's about time someone stood up to Amanda's manipulation. You're not mad. Aunt Diane laughed, but it was a sad sound. Mad? Sweetheart, I've been watching Amanda pull this routine for years. Did you know she did something similar to me 5 years ago? What? She borrowed $3,000 from me for what she said was an emergency root canal. Turns out Shed already had the dental work done months earlier and insurance covered it. She used my money to buy a new bedroom set. When I asked about repayment, she stopped taking my calls. Eventually, she told your mother I was harassing her, and Linda took her side. I learned to keep my distance. I felt a strange mixture of validation and sadness. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me back then? Or would you have thought I was just a bitter aunt causing problems? She sighed. Your parents always protected Amanda. She was the baby, the one who needed help. You were the responsible one, the strong one. So you got less attention, less support, less benefit of the doubt. It's not fair, honey. It never was. We talked for almost an hour. Diane told me stories I'd never heard about family dynamics. About how Shed watched me bend over backwards trying to earn the approval that Amanda got simply by existing. When we finally hung up, she invited me to Christmas at her house. I politely declined and told her about the Colorado plans. She was delighted. Go have a wonderful time. Live your life for yourself for once. You deserve it. I felt better after talking to Diane, but I knew I needed to listen to the voicemails eventually. I poured a glass of wine and steeled myself. My mother's messages were brutal. The first one. Chelsea. Call me back immediately. What you've done is unacceptable. By the third one. I am furious with you right now. How dare you embarrass this family like this? By the sixth one. If you don't call me back and apologize to your sister, do not expect to have a relationship with your parents. We will not tolerate this kind of behavior. My father's messages were quieter but cut just as deep. I thought we raised you to be better than this. Family is everything, Chelsea. You've forgotten that. I don't know who you've become, but I'm disappointed. Very disappointed. Then came Amanda's final voicemail, and it almost broke my resolve. Her voice was shaky, tearful. Sophie was crying tonight, asking why Aunt Chelsea doesn't love her anymore. She wanted to call you, but I told her you were busy with more important things. Marcus asked if he did something wrong. Lily doesn't understand why you won't come to Christmas. I hope you're happy, Chelsea. I hope whatever point you're trying to prove is worth breaking my children's hearts. I felt tears sting my eyes. I loved those kids. This wasn't about them. Ethan found me crying on the couch and held me. She's using them as weapons, he said softly. You know that, right? But what if they really are upset? What if they think I don't love them? Chelsea, when was the last time you saw those kids outside of a holiday or birthday where you were expected to bring expensive gifts? I thought about it. I don't know. Amanda doesn't really. Exactly. She controls your access to them. You only get to see Sophie, Marcus, and Lily when it benefits Amanda. Either you're bringing presents or providing free childcare. When was the last time she invited you over just to spend time together? I couldn't remember. Every interaction had been transactional. Every visit had come with expectations. She's kept you from having a real relationship with them, Ethan continued gently. Because if you had a genuine relationship with those kids, she couldn't use them to manipulate you. Think about it. Does she ever let you take them to the park alone? Out for ice cream? To a movie? She didn't. Anytime I'd suggested it, Amanda had found reasons it wouldn't work. The kids were too busy, or too tired, or she needed them home. The only time I got to help with the kids was when I was providing full-time childcare at her convenience. I don't want them to think I don't love them. They won't. Not if you handle this right. But right now, you need to protect yourself. He was right. I knew he was right. But it still hurt. Then another notification popped up. A Facebook message from Patricia, Jason's mother. My stomach dropped. I'd always liked Patricia. But surely she'd be on her son's side. I opened the message with shaking hands. Chelsea, I don't know all the details of what's happening, but Amanda just called asking to borrow $5,000 for Christmas expenses. When I said no, she said you'd abandoned them and they were desperate. I found this odd since Jason just got a promotion and a raise. What's really going on? My heart was pounding as I typed out a response. I kept it brief and factual, explaining that I'd discovered Amanda had been using my money for luxury purchases while claiming emergencies, and that I'd set financial boundaries. Patricia's response came quickly. I suspected something like this. Last summer, Amanda asked to borrow money for their Disney trip. We said no because we felt a vacation wasn't an emergency expense, and she got very angry with us. We've been keeping our distance since then, Chelsea. Please don't let them guilt you into continuing this pattern. You seem like a lovely person, and you deserve better than being treated like a bank. I thanked her and closed my laptop. The fact that Amanda was already trying to find a new financial source shouldn't have surprised me, but somehow it did. She wasn't concerned about losing her relationship with me. She was concerned about losing access to my money. That realization, more than anything else that day, told me I'd made the right choice. Over the next few days, I kept my phone on but didn't respond to any messages from my family. I unblocked everyone because I wanted to see what they were saying. But I didn't engage. The messages kept coming, but the tone began to shift. My mother tried a different tactic. Chelsea, I'm your mother and I'm asking you, please reconsider. We can talk about this calmly. Please call me. Amanda sent photos of Sophie, Marcus, and Lily looking sad. The photos were clearly staged. Kids don't naturally pose looking forlorn at the camera. But they still tugged at my heart. My father sent a long email about family values and Christian forgiveness, quoting Bible verses about honoring your parents and loving your siblings. It felt manipulative coming from a man who hadn't been to church in 15 years except for Easter and Christmas. I didn't respond to any of it. Instead, I focused on getting ready for Colorado. Ethan and I went shopping for warm clothes, planned our itinerary, made reservations at nice restaurants near the cabin. I felt lighter than I had in months, despite the constant buzz of my phone. But I did do one thing. I sent individual messages to Sophie, Marcus, and Lily through a kids' messaging app Amanda had set up for family. I kept the messages simple and age-appropriate. To Sophie, who was 8. Hi, sweetheart. I want you to know that I love you very much, and I'll always be your aunt. Sometimes grown-ups have disagreements, and your mom and I are working through some things, but it has nothing to do with you, and I think about you all the time. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. To Marcus, who is 6. Hey buddy, Aunt Chelsea here. I miss you and I love you. I'm sorry I won't see you at Christmas this year, but I promise we'll have fun together soon. You didn't do anything wrong. Give your dinosaurs a high five from me. To Lily, who is 4. Hi Lily Bean, Aunt Chelsea loves you so much. I'm sending you big hugs through the phone. Sweet dreams, little one. I didn't know if Amanda would let them see the messages, but I sent them anyway. I needed them to know, in whatever small way I could manage, that my boundaries with their mother had nothing to do with how much I loved them. Work was having its annual Christmas party, and I almost didn't go, but Ethan convinced me that staying home would just mean more time to obsess over my phone. So we went, and I told a few close colleagues what had happened. I didn't overshare, just gave them the basics. The response was unanimous support. Everyone agreed I'd done the right thing. One coworker, Brian, shared his own story about cutting off his financially abusive brother. Another colleague, Samantha, talked about the toxic dynamics in her own family and how setting boundaries had actually improved her life. The people who get mad at you for setting boundaries are the ones who were benefiting from you having none, Samantha said. It struck me as profoundly true. On December 22nd, the day before Ethan and I were supposed to leave for Colorado, someone knocked on my apartment door at 8 in the evening. I looked through the peephole and my heart sank. My mother was standing there, alone. I considered not answering, but that felt cowardly. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Mom, Chelsea. She looked tired, older than I remembered. Can we talk? Please? I stepped aside and let her in. She sat on my couch, and I sat in the chair across from her, keeping distance between us. Ethan was in the bedroom, giving us privacy but close enough if I needed support. My mother looked around my apartment, seeming to really see it for the first time in the 3 years I'd lived here. The modest furniture I'd gotten secondhand, the small kitchen, The single bedroom. This was what I could afford while funneling $20,000 to my sister. I've been thinking, she started, about everything, about what you said, and I think maybe we've been a little hard on you. Hope flickered in my chest. If you could just... She paused. If you could help Amanda out one more time, just with the money she needed for those Christmas things, maybe $3,000 to smooth things over, then we could all move past this. You could come to Christmas, at least for Christmas Day. We could try to go back to normal. The hope died instantly. She still didn't get it. This wasn't about a single transaction. This was about years of being used, disrespected, and taken for granted. Mom, I'm not giving Amanda any more money. Chelsea, be reasonable. She's your sister. A sister who stole from me, who mocked me behind my back, who only values me for what I can provide financially. She didn't mean those things, Jason said. She was just venting. She called me desperate and sad for being generous. She and Jason laughed about using me as their personal ATM. You heard what I told you about that, and you still don't care. I care about keeping this family together. My mother's voice rose. I care about those grandchildren having a nice Christmas. I care about not having my daughters at war with each other. Then maybe you should have cared about treating both your daughters fairly. I kept my voice level. You should have cared when Amanda was exploiting me. You should have cared when she was using my money for luxuries while crying poor. You should have cared about me as much as you care about her. I do care about you. No, Mom. You care about me being useful. You care about me keeping the peace. You care about me not making waves. But you don't care about me being hurt, or disrespected, or taken advantage of. Because if you did, you would have put a stop to Amanda's behavior years ago. She stood up. So this is it? You're just going to throw away your family over money? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm setting boundaries. I won't be providing financial support anymore. I won't be accepting demands for childcare as conditions for family gatherings. I expect an apology from Amanda for stealing from me. I expect you and Dad to acknowledge that you enabled her behavior. Until those things happen, I'll be keeping my distance. You're being unreasonable. I'm being healthy. For the first time in my life, I am putting my own well-being first. I'm sorry that disrupts the system you've all built, but I can't keep sacrificing myself to maintain your comfort. My mother stared at me for a long moment. So you're choosing to destroy this family? No, Mom. Amanda chose to exploit our relationship. You and Dad chose to enable it. I'm choosing to protect myself. There's a difference. She walked to the door, then turned back. Your father and I won't forget this. Neither will I. She left, the door closing firmly behind her. I sat there shaking. Ethan emerged from the bedroom and wrapped his arms around me. I'm proud of you, he whispered. That was my mother. My own mother. And she came here to ask me for more money for Amanda. Not to apologize, not to understand, just to ask for more money. I know, babe. We sat like that for a while, until my heart rate returned to normal. Then my phone buzzed with a notification. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. It was a letter, delivered to my mailbox. Not mailed, hand-delivered. I went downstairs and found a thick envelope with my name on it in Amanda's handwriting. I brought it upstairs and opened it. 3 pages, handwritten, front and back. It started reasonably enough. Chelsea, I want you to understand my side of things. But as I read, my jaw dropped. The letter was a detailed accounting of everything Amanda felt she had sacrificed by becoming a mother. The career shed put on hold, the body changes from 3 pregnancies, the sleepless nights, the loss of freedom. Page after page of complaints about how hard motherhood was. Then came a comparison of our lives. How easy I had it as a single career woman with no children. How much free time and disposable income I had. How simple my life was compared to hers. The 3rd page was the kicker. Amanda had actually calculated what she believed I owed her for years of missed childcare contributions. She'd decided that since I was an aunt, I should have been providing regular childcare all along. And she'd calculated the market rate for a nanny over the past 8 years since Sophie was born. The total came to approximately $15,000. The letter ended with, "If you ever want to be part of this family again, this debt needs to be settled. I've sacrificed everything for my children, and the least you can do is acknowledge that." and make this right. Your choice. I showed it to Ethan. We both stared at it for a moment, and then I started laughing. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all, the sheer audacity, was almost funny in its ridiculousness. Ethan was laughing too. She thinks you owe her $15,000 for not babysitting kids you weren't asked to babysit. Apparently, being an aunt comes with a bill. I filed the letter away carefully, not because I had any intention of honoring its insane demands, but because it was perfect documentation of just how warped Amanda's thinking had become. If I ever needed proof of why I'd set these boundaries, this letter was it. That night, I slept better than I had in days. December 23rd arrived bright and cold. Ethan loaded our suitcases into his car while I took one last look around my apartment. My phone was buzzing again, but I'd made a decision. I turned it completely off. For 3 days, I was going to be unreachable. The world could wait. The drive to Colorado was beautiful. We listened to music, talked about everything except my family, and stopped at a diner for lunch where I had the best apple pie I'd ever tasted. By the time we arrived at the cabin late that afternoon, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in weeks. The cabin was perfect. Nestled in the mountains, surrounded by snow-covered pine trees, with a huge stone fireplace and windows that looked out over the valley. There was a hot tub on the deck, a fully stocked kitchen, and a king-size bed piled with soft blankets. This is incredible. I breathed, looking around. Ethan wrapped his arms around me from behind. You deserve incredible. We spent that evening cooking dinner together, something simple but delicious. We sat by the fire, drinking wine, talking about nothing important. No drama, no demands, just peace. Christmas Eve we went snowshoeing through the woods. The world was quiet and white and perfect. We saw deer in the distance, watched birds flit through the trees, breathed in air so clean and cold it almost hurt. We came back to the cabin frozen and laughing, and warmed up in the hot tub while snow fell gently around us. Christmas morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee and pancakes. Ethan had gotten up early to make breakfast. We exchanged gifts by the tree the cabin owners had left decorated in the living room. Ethan gave me a beautiful journal bound in leather and a book about setting healthy boundaries that had inscribed with a note, "To new beginnings and the courage to choose yourself." I gave him the watch Head admired months ago when Wed walked past a jewelry store downtown. His face lit up when he opened it. "Chelsea, this is too much." "It's exactly right," I corrected him. We video called Ethan's family, who were gathered at his parents' house in Ohio. They included me in everything, asked about the cabin, told me I looked happy. Ethan's mother, Carol, pulled me aside virtually and said, "I'm so glad my son found you. You're good for each other." It made me tear up, the simple acceptance I'd always craved from my own family. I didn't think about Amanda or my parents once that day. I was completely, perfectly present. On December 26th, as we were packing up to head home, I finally turned my phone back on. It took several minutes to boot up, and then the notifications started flooding in. 43 missed calls. Over 100 text messages. Multiple voicemails. Dozens of emails. My stomach clenched, but Ethan put a hand on my shoulder. "Whatever it is, well, handle it together." I started with the messages from Aunt Diane, figuring those would be safe. The first one was from Christmas Eve. "Merry Christmas, honey. Hope you're having a wonderful time." The next one, from Christmas Day. "Chelsea, call me when you can. There's been some drama here, but you're not part of it. Just want to fill you in." The third one, "Things have gotten messy. Amanda had a complete meltdown. Call me when you get a chance." I called her immediately. She answered on the first ring. "Chelsea, how was Colorado?" "It was perfect." "What happened?" Diane laughed, but there was an edge to it. "Oh, honey, where do I start?" Amanda's Christmas was a disaster. Complete and total disaster. Apparently, when Amanda realized she actually had to watch her own children for 3 straight days while hosting Christmas, everything fell apart. Linda and Robert had arrived Christmas Eve expecting to be guests, not childcare providers. When Amanda tried to hand off the kids so she could cook, Linda had refused, saying she was on vacation and wanted to relax. Sophie had spilled grape juice on Amanda's brand new white sectional. Marcus had accidentally broken one of her expensive glass ornaments playing ball in the house. Lily had had several tantrums because the routine was disrupted with so many people around. Amanda had lost her temper, screaming at the children in front of everyone. Patricia and Jason's father, who had come over for Christmas dinner, were horrified. They'd left early, and Patricia had apparently said something about not exposing themselves to that kind of environment. "Chelsea, I heard this from Patricia directly because she called me afterward," Diane continued. "She said Amanda spent the whole time complaining about you, about how you'd ruined Christmas by not being there to help." Patricia finally said, "Maybe if you'd treated Chelsea better, she'd be here." Amanda did not take that well. "Oh no, oh yes." Amanda started screaming about how everyone was ganging up on her, how nobody appreciated what she does, how she's the victim here. Patricia and her husband just left. They told Jason they'd be happy to see him and the kids, but they're done with Amanda's drama. But it got worse. Amanda had planned an elaborate Christmas dinner that she couldn't execute without help. She'd somehow imagined Linda would do most of the cooking while Amanda played hostess. Linda apparently had other ideas. She'd brought wine and planned to drink it while watching Christmas movies with Robert. Robert tried to help cook the turkey, but he left it in too long and it burned. Diane said. Amanda completely lost it, started crying, saying the whole day was ruined, that this was all your fault for not being there. My fault? That's when Linda apparently defended you. She said maybe they'd been too hard on you, that you had every right to spend Christmas however you wanted. Amanda went ballistic. Told Linda and Robert if they were going to take your side, they could leave. She kicked Mom and Dad out on Christmas. She did. They ended up at a hotel Christmas night. I know because Robert called me at 9 in the evening asking if I had any hotel recommendations. I sat down heavily on the cabin's couch. Wow, there's more, Diane said. Jason is apparently furious with Amanda. Patricia told me he's barely speaking to her because she drove his parents away. And this morning, I heard through the family grapevine that Amanda tried calling Patricia to borrow $5,000, and Patricia told her no, and that she needed to sort out her priorities. The whole carefully constructed world Amanda had built was crumbling. Without me there to serve as both the family ATM and the convenient scapegoat, everything had fallen apart. How are Mom and Dad? I asked. Shaken up, I think. Linda called me yesterday from the hotel. She sounded tired. She said she needed to rethink some things. After I hung up with Diane, I scrolled through the other messages. There were dozens from Amanda, ranging from angry to desperate to manipulative. This is all your fault. I hope you're happy now. You've destroyed this family. Please just call me back. Linda had left several voicemails. I listened to them in chronological order. The first, from Christmas Eve, Chelsea, were at Amanda's. I wanted to wish you Merry Christmas. I hope you're doing well. The second, from Christmas evening. Chelsea, it's been a difficult day. Can you call me when you get a chance? The third from this morning. Chelsea, I've been thinking about a lot of things. When you're ready, I'd like to talk. Really talk. I think I owe you several apologies. That last message made my throat tight. It wasn't the reconciliation I'd dreamed of, but it was something. An acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, I hadn't been wrong. I didn't call anyone back yet. Ethan and I finished packing and started the drive home. I spent most of it looking out the window, processing everything. My absence had exposed all the dysfunction that was always there. I hadn't created it by leaving. It just stopped enabling the system that hid it. By the time we got back to my apartment that evening, I felt oddly calm. The world hadn't ended without me. Actually, the only thing that had ended was the illusion that Amanda's family was functional. That illusion was always going to crack eventually. Better it happened now, when I was safely away, than later when I was there to be blamed for it. That night, I saved Linda's voicemail. I wasn't ready to call her back yet, but I saved it. It was the first time in years my mother had said I owe you an apology without any conditions attached. Maybe, eventually, we could rebuild something, but it would have to be different. It would have to be real. I let 3 days pass before I called my mother back. I needed time to think about what I wanted to say, what boundaries I needed to set, what I was and wasn't willing to accept. When I finally called her, my hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. We agreed to meet for coffee at a neutral location, a small cafe halfway between our homes. When I arrived, Linda was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee. Shed ordered mine the way I liked it, which was such a small thing but somehow meant something. She looked different. Older, more tired, but also somehow softer. The defensive hardness I'd seen in her face for years was gone. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. We were quiet for a moment. Then she began. "Chelsea, I owe you an apology. Several apologies." Her hands wrapped around her coffee cup. "I've been thinking about everything constantly since Christmas, about how I've treated you over the years, how I enabled Amanda, how I dismissed your feelings and your concerns, how I prioritized keeping the peace over treating you fairly." I stayed silent, letting her continue. "I think I took you for granted. You were always so capable, so independent, so strong. You didn't need me the way Amanda did. Or at least, that's what I told myself." She looked up, and her eyes were wet. "But that wasn't fair. Just because you didn't need me desperately doesn't mean you didn't need me at all. Just because you were strong doesn't mean you didn't deserve support and protection and fairness. Why did you always choose her?" The question came out before I could stop it, raw and painful. Linda took a shaky breath. "Because she made me feel needed. Amanda's neediness, her crises, her constant demands for help, they made me feel important. Useful. Like I was still a necessary mother. But you were so self-sufficient. I didn't know how to mother someone who didn't seem to need mothering." She wiped her eyes. "I realize now how terrible that sounds. How selfish. You deserved better from me, Chelsea. You always did." We talked for 2 hours. She told me about watching Amanda on Christmas, really watching her, and seeing clearly for the first time how manipulative and entitled she'd become. She told me about the fight Amanda had started when Linda mildly defended me, and how shocking it was to see Amanda turn on her own mother the moment Linda stopped being useful. "She told me I was a terrible mother for raising you to be selfish," Linda said. "She said I'd failed both of my daughters, and if I didn't fix it by making you apologize and give her money, she was done with me too." "What did you say?" I told her that you had nothing to apologize for, that you'd been generous and patient for years, and she'd taken advantage of it. She didn't like that. Linda smiled sadly. "She hasn't spoken to me since Christmas night." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I needed to see it. I needed to understand what I'd created by enabling her all these years." She reached across the table and took my hand. "Chelsea, I know I can't fix everything with one conversation. I know I've hurt you deeply and repeatedly, but I'd like a chance to rebuild our relationship. Slowly, honestly, without Amanda in the middle of it. Can we try?" I thought about it. About years of feeling second best, of being taken for granted, of watching my mother choose my sister over and over. But I also thought about growth, about people being capable of change, about the possibility of something real. "We can try," I said, "but things have to be different. I need you to respect my boundaries. I need you to stop asking me to sacrifice myself for Amanda's comfort. I need you to see me as a person, not as a resource. I understand. And I'll do better. I promise I'll do better." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a movie reconciliation where everything was instantly healed. But it was honest. And that was more than we'd had in years. Over the next few weeks, my father reached out too. His apology was more formal, less emotionally open than my mother's, but it was sincere. He acknowledged that Head favored Amanda, that Head dismissed my concerns, that Head failed to protect me from exploitation. We started having monthly dinners, just the 3 of us, where we talked about things that weren't Amanda. Amanda and I didn't speak for 3 months. I heard updates through family channels. Jason was furious with her for driving away his parents. The kids were confused about the family drama. Amanda had started therapy, though I heard it was court-ordered because Patricia had filed for grandparents' rights. Concerned about the children's well-being after what she'd witnessed on Christmas, I started my own therapy too. I worked through years of family dynamics, learning about parentification and scapegoating and codependency. My therapist helped me understand that my worth wasn't tied to what I could provide for others. That love shouldn't require constant sacrifice to prove itself. In March, Ethan and I went back to the Colorado cabin for a long weekend. On the last night, we were sitting in the hot tub under the stars when he pulled out a small box. "Chelsea, these past few months, I've watched you become more yourself than I've ever seen you. You're lighter, happier. You're living for yourself instead of everyone else. And it's beautiful." He opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. "I love you. I want to build a life with you, a life where you're valued and respected, and never taken for granted. Will you marry me?" I said yes through tears, and we sat in that hot tub holding each other while snow fell softly around us. When I told my parents about the engagement, their reaction surprised me. They were genuinely happy. Linda asked about Ethan's favorite foods because she wanted to cook him a special dinner. Robert asked about our wedding plans and offered to help pay for the venue. They were showing interest in my life, my choices, my happiness. Separate from Amanda, it felt like a gift I'd waited my whole life to receive. In April, I got a text from Amanda. Not an apology, but not hostile either. "I heard about your engagement. Congratulations. I've been thinking about things. Can we talk?" I agreed to meet her, but I brought Ethan with me. We met at a park, neutral territory, on a Saturday afternoon. Amanda looked different too. Quieter, less performative. The usual drama and energy she carried were muted. "I've been in therapy," she started. "Court-ordered, actually. Patricia filed for grandparents' rights because she was worried about how I was treating the kids. The judge ordered family counseling. I didn't know that." "Yeah, well, it's been humbling." She looked down at her hands. "My therapist has been making me examine a lot of things. About how I treat people. About how I've used people. About you." We talked for an hour. Amanda didn't give me the full, tearful apology I might have wanted in my dreams. But she did admit she'd taken advantage of my generosity. She acknowledged that she'd treated me like a bank account instead of a sister. She said she was working on herself, trying to be better for her kids. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said. "I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness. But I wanted you to know I'm trying to change." I appreciated the honesty, even if it wasn't everything I'd hoped for. We agreed to limited contact. Cordial. Distant. Maybe someday we could be closer, but not yet. Too much had happened. Trust needed to be rebuilt slowly, if at all. But Amanda did agree to let me see Sophie, Marcus, and Lily under supervision. Small visits. I took them to the Science Museum one Saturday. We went to the zoo another time. I didn't bring expensive gifts. I brought my time and attention and genuine interest in their lives. The kids responded beautifully. Sophie hugged me so tight I could barely breathe and whispered, "I missed you." Marcus chattered non-stop about his new interest in dinosaurs. Lily held my hand and showed me every animal at the zoo with pure delight. I realized I could have a relationship with them separate from Amanda's manipulation. It would require boundaries and awareness, but it was possible. And it was worth it. Ethan and I spent the summer planning our wedding. I asked Aunt Diane to be my matron of honor. She cried when I asked her and said it would be her greatest joy. We invited my parents, and we invited Amanda's family. But Amanda wasn't part of the wedding party. That role went to the people who had consistently supported me. The wedding in October was beautiful, small, intimate, full of people who genuinely loved us. I wrote my own vows. When I spoke them, looking into Ethan's eyes, I included this. "You taught me that love isn't measured in what I can provide, but in how I'm valued for who I am. You showed me that I deserve to be chosen, not used. You've given me the courage to believe in my own worth. I promise to love you with the same generosity and respect you've always shown me." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. At the reception, Linda gave a toast that surprised everyone. She stood up, glass in hand, and said, "I need to say something. I wasn't always the mother Chelsea deserved. I made mistakes, big ones, that hurt her deeply. But watching her over this past year, watching her find her strength and her voice and her boundaries, I've never been prouder. Chelsea, you taught me what real strength looks like, not the kind that lets people walk all over you, but the kind that says no when no is needed. You've taught me about self-respect and dignity. I'm honored to be your mother. even though I didn't always act like it. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Amanda was at the wedding, sitting quietly at a table in the back with Jason and the kids. She didn't make a scene. After the toast, she came up to me briefly and said, "You look happy. Really happy." I don't think I understood what that looked like before. It wasn't much, but it was something. 6 months after the wedding, Ethan and I bought our first house together. It was a beautiful little cottage with a yard and a garden and room to grow. I used money I'd saved by not subsidizing Amanda's lifestyle. Money I'd earned through my own hard work. Money that was finally building my own future instead of funding someone else's luxuries. My relationship with my parents continued to improve. It wasn't perfect. We still had awkward moments and difficult conversations. But it was built on honesty now, instead of obligation. Linda and Robert made efforts to really know Ethan, to include him in family events, to treat our relationship as important. They respected my boundaries. When I said no to something, they accepted it without guilt or pressure. My relationship with Amanda stayed distant. We were cordial at family gatherings. She was working on herself, genuinely trying to be a better person and parent. But we would probably never be close. Too much damage had been done. Sometimes that happens in families, and I'd learned to accept it. But my relationship with Sophie, Marcus, and Lily grew stronger. I saw them regularly now, took them on adventures, showed them through my actions that love doesn't require proving your worth through sacrifice. I was determined to be the aunt who showed them healthy boundaries, who demonstrated self-respect, who proved that you could love people without letting them use you. I started volunteering at a local nonprofit that helped young women in finance learn about career development and personal boundaries. I taught them what I'd had to learn the hard way, that being generous doesn't mean being a doormat, that family is important but not at the cost of your self-respect, that you're allowed to protect yourself even when others call you selfish. One December evening, almost a year after that terrible Christmas, I was sitting in our new house with Ethan. We'd decorated for the holidays together, our first Christmas in our own home. Friends were coming over the next day. Aunt Diane, my parents, some of Ethan's family, Patricia and Jason's father, who'd become good friends with us, a few close colleagues, people who valued me, respected me, celebrated me. Amanda, Jason, and the kids weren't coming. They had plans with Jason's family, which was fine, but Sophie, Marcus, and Lily had made cards for me that Amanda had dropped off earlier that day. Hand-drawn pictures and messages. "I love you, Aunt Chelsea. You're the best. Thank you for taking me to the Science Museum." I looked around at the house filled with decorations and love and peace. Ethan caught my eye from across the room, where he was hanging stockings on the mantel. He smiled and mouthed, "I love you." In that moment, I understood something profound. I'd spent years trying to earn love I already deserved. I'd sacrificed myself trying to prove my worth to people who only valued what I could give them. I'd bent and broken and nearly lost myself trying to fit into a family system that never had space for the real me. But now I was surrounded by people who knew my worth without me having to prove it. People who loved me for who I was, not what I could provide. People who respected my boundaries and celebrated my strength. This was what family was supposed to feel like. Not perfect, but authentic. Not transactional, but genuine. Not based on obligation, but on mutual respect and love. I'd spent years looking for this feeling in the wrong place. Now I'd built it for myself. With people who truly valued me. That was the real gift. Not the house, or the wedding, or even the peace with my parents, though all of those mattered. The real gift was learning that I deserved love without conditions. That my worth wasn't tied to my usefulness. That saying no to being used wasn't selfish. It was self-respect. I thought about that woman a year ago, sitting in her office reading that text from Amanda. Heartbreaking. Confused about what she'd done wrong. I wished I could tell her what I knew now. She hadn't done anything wrong. She'd just been trying to earn something that should have been freely given. But she'd figured it out. She'd found her strength. She'd built a life worth living. And that, I realized as I looked around at the home Ethan and I had created, was the happy ending I'd been looking for all along. So here's what I learned through all of this, and what I want you to understand if you're in a similar situation. Family is important, blood matters, but not at the cost of your dignity, your self-respect, or your well-being. Love shouldn't require constant sacrifice to prove itself. The people who truly care about you will never ask you to prove your worth through endless giving. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and even for others is to say no, to set boundaries, to protect yourself. Because when you stop enabling dysfunction, you force people to face it. Some will change, some won't. But either way, you'll be free to build the life you deserve. I spent years being the family bank, the emotional support, the problem solver, the one who sacrificed everything to keep the peace. And what I got in return was exploitation and mockery. When I finally stood up for myself, some people were angry, but the people who truly loved me understood. And the life I built afterward was so much richer than anything it had before. Your worth isn't measured in what you provide. It's inherent, just in being you. Remember that, protect that, honor that. And if your family can't see it, build a new family with people who can. That's the lesson I learned, and I hope sharing my story helps someone else find the courage to do the same. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where family expected too much from you? Where generosity turned into exploitation? How did you handle it? What boundaries did you set? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's struggling with similar issues. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more real stories about family dynamics, boundaries, and personal growth. And share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who might be sacrificing too much of themselves trying to earn love they already deserve. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it brought you some comfort, some validation, or maybe just the reminder that you're not alone in these struggles. Remember, you deserve to be valued for who you are, not what you can give. Stand firm in that truth. Protect your peace, and never apologize for choosing yourself. Wishing you all the strength and courage to build the life and relationships you truly deserve. Take care of yourselves.